Hello, thank you for tuning in. My name is Larry Duncan Allen. This is No More Water, Fire Next Time. I had a little technical problem earlier. I was trying to come on and I accidentally knocked myself off. So thanks for tuning back in again. My subject today is about unity of strategy. I say that because each time I go to different black events, they try to figure out a way to take care of problems in the black community. And what always comes up is unity. They say, what do we need more than anything else? And they say, unity. And I stop and I think about that. And, what community where everyone is unified? What people where everyone is unified? There is none and there never will be none. We all don't have to be unified to get ahead. White people aren't unified, they're very divided. No people are completely unified. That's just a myth that we talk for the fact of so we can stay stagnant and to do nothing. The reason I say unity or strategy is because we really don't strategize anything. We think we just unify. Unify and do what? Unify and do what? We don't have a strategy after the unity. You see, what gets other people ahead? There are the majority of your people may not even be worth unifying with. Let's just face that. There has to be enough people of sound mind get together and plot strategy for their people. You see what Martin Luther King do? He was a very good strategist. Regardless if you liked his integration policies or not, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about his strategy. He was a very good strategist. But we don't have that anymore. We just sit around thinking we come together, feelings. We're going by feelings. We love each other. What love each other got to do with us getting ahead? This is not about feelings. This is about plotting, strategy. Most people they have like a 20-year plan. Do you realize and with the Third Reich they had 1,000-year plan, and with Jim Lynch, the one who started lynching, he said you apply the policy of lynching, it'll last you 1,000 years. They think like that. We don't think past tomorrow. Some of us do, but it's not enough of us. It don't take all of us. Let me take a quick break, and I'll be right back in about 30 seconds. Okay, I'm back. When you're doing everything by yourself, you have to do that sometimes. Nowadays, we don't have that big crew like we used to have. I mean, when we used to have all the big cameras and now we had cameramen and everything. You don't have to do that anymore. Technology has changed all of that. And now people get more of their news from podcasters than they are from the mainstream news now because they're not showing much. But look, as I was saying about my subject, we have to strategize and you know, figure out ways how we're gonna get things done. Like right now, black people are not going out marching much, but at the same time, are we strategizing, thinking of our next move? We don't even know what our next move is. We should, but we have to find some people we can get together with. And I don't mean get together and argue and contend with each other. To find a strategy. Because a lot of times we get together, we think arguing and fussing, make it like we're doing something. Like we're telling them off. We don't come to tell somebody off. We're trying to plot a strategy. We hear each other out and try to come to a logical conclusion. Too many times I've been with people, we trying to set a policy. Everybody, each person didn't want to listen to the other. Couldn't agree on anything. We don't need those type of people. We need those who will come and try to really care about the people and not about your idea of getting passed. I may come with an idea and someone else has a better one, or we can just add on to each other. That's where you strategize. You don't get there, up in there fussing with each other. If you do that, then I'm in a meeting, I'm leaving. If it's my meeting, you're leaving. It's time for our silliness. That needs to be out. We got some stuff ahead of us. I'm not too much worried about Project 2025. You know why? I read Project 2025. Back this up a little bit. And Project 2025 seems like it's going to harm others more than us, especially white people. Because see all the things in Project 2025, we've been there, done that. They haven't. And see, this is like another Reconstruction period. But you know what the difference is now? See, in all other Reconstruction periods, they only hurted us. We were the only ones that was hurt. Now it's going to impact everyone. White people, Asians, Latino, the majority of the white public. Those who were making their $80,000 a year, they're going to be affected. See, those in the trailer course, they were just dumb following Republican when they should have been voting with black people. But they were made to feel special because of their white skin. So they've been impacted. They just didn't realize it. Now they're going to realize it. The middle and upper middle class white people, they're going to be affected. And let me tell you, they're not like us. They're not coming with no peaceful protests. That was just for us. They going to come with something. See, we've been cowed down to peaceful protests, and they haven't. They don't play that like we do. But you know what? Well, we still have to figure out what we're going to do. We cannot sit around here and just see what's going to happen. And I'm not talking about getting with a bunch of dumb people sitting around just talking, running my mouth, like I said, fussing, arguing, not getting anything accomplished. I'm talking about some educated, rational thinking people who know the system, who are who are around it. We don't, you talking about, well, we need some people from the community. We don't need no thugs in there. We need our intellectuals to get together to plot a strategy. We don't need just know anybody, which we've been doing. We want to include everybody all the time. Everybody don't need to be included in certain things. On certain things, you need just some people. Like everyone keeps saying, we're next. And you know one thing about those other people of color and all? God, gnats keep flying around here. And they keep coming to us saying we're next. No, we're not next. We've always been. They're just experiencing what we've always been through. But they say it in such a gleeful way. If they think something happening to black people, they say it in a gleeful way, or they'll say, well, they're gonna come and get you. You're like they wanting them to come get us. They've been getting us. They've been snatching black people out of cars, buses. They went out and snatched them out. They've been doing that to us. Well, one thing I was accused of, people on the internet, I said about black people getting the CCW for what may be coming down the line. Anytime I'm trying to get people to go start going out doing stuff to people. White folks, they talk about getting, that's all they talk about is weapons all the time. No one said they're going out to my accuse. They don't accuse them of going out after somebody, which they do. We can get whatever we want to get, just like they can get whatever they want to get. We can get whatever we want to get. The government not coming to save us. See, one thing black people have always done, we always had this thing in mind, the government was going to come save us. But it's the government who's the problem now. We got to do for ourselves. No one's coming to save us but us. These other people, they want to see us fail. They talk happy when they see ICE confronting a black person. You should see how gleeful they get. See, we told you. They just coming after them. One person and let them go. Yeah, they may be rough, but you know, something gonna soon be done about that because people not gonna keep taking that. And if you a citizen, shouldn't be taking you nowhere. Now, one thing I will say about you people getting up in those cops' face with the cameras until you get back. I do that for a living. I've I've recorded cops' interactions with people with no problem. You know why? That's what the zoom on your camera is for. You don't have to have that phone or camera, whatever you got, all up in that cop's face. I can get a close up and be across the street. That's what you got to zoom for. When he said get it out of his face, get it out of his face. You had no business in the first place. Move out the way unless they're doing something to somebody and you want to help that person. I'm not beyond helping the person that the cop is abusing. I did it before in California. Cops was angry with me out there. That's one reason I'm back here. Plan on going back, but because all that's over with now. They were angry. They get angry when you get away with something after you did something to one of them. So what I'm saying, I'm not just talking. I've actually done it before. No, I've actually done it before and would do it again. All I'm saying is that you getting whatever you want for protection. They're going getting these things not for protection. These white folks, they getting all these assault rifles and all. That's not for protection. But whatever they get, we need to get it too. And you know what? Those white people getting those assault rifles, they were talking about a race war, but you know what the war is going to be against? Probably this very government. They thought they was preparing for us. Now, why would people always be talking about a race war against the people who haven't done anything to anyone? If we hurt anybody, we hurt each other. We don't hurt other people. Most white people don't even live around black people. White people live all over this nation. We live in congested areas. That's why they say high crime rate. It's no higher than anyone else. We just congested and they're spread out. I told you before, ride from St. Louis to Chicago. You may not see any black people till you get to Chicago. I know there's some in Springfield and Bloomington up at the colleges. But I'm talking about in numbers. Once you leave the St. Louis metropolitan area or the Metro East, you're not going to see any black people in numbers until you get up to Chicago. Because we don't live all over the state like they do. There's states you can go in, you can't find a black person. What black person live in North Dakota, Wyoming? There may be some in Idaho. There may be some in, I know some from live in Salt Lake City. Once you get outside the Salt Lake City, you can't find a black person. Colorado. The only city I know of in Colorado is Boulder. The rest of them I don't even know. Montana. South and North Dakota. What black people live in those areas? There's not many black people live in Iowa. Iowa is one of the whitest states. I was surprised to find that out. I thought it would be supposed to say like Montana and Wyoming. But Iowa is one of the whitest states in the nation. There's probably a few people in Des Moines, but I doubt that. It's just certain areas we don't want to be in. Black people find more opportunities in the large metropolitan areas. And you have to go, you have to go where you can prosper. But back to my subject, the reason I was saying what I say is because every time I go to meetings and the subject come up about what's going to help black people get ahead, they come up with all these emotional answers. Emotion is not going to do it. No, emotions is not going to do it. We need some sound, rational solutions. We were given a sound mind by God to be able to think stuff out ourselves. He's not going to come and take care of our political problems and certain problems for us. That's what He give us a mind for. You teach your children how to do something, you want to still try. You still have to go back and do everything for them. What's the point in teaching them anything if you have to still do everything for them? You see, the reason I say is that we come up with those emotional. It takes unity. Like I said before, other people not unified. I don't know of any people who are unified, but they have the strategies in place and the intellectual people who know what they're doing. We don't need no street people when come up there arguing and fuss. Apply the strategy, sound, rational, tangible strategy. Not talking about we need to love each other and have unity in community those are just catchphrases that we've been using for years, and they haven't worked before, and they won't work now. We have to stop playing around. We need to get things done. And emotional responses is not going to get it done. Getting your people in there, browbeating them, telling them everything they're doing wrong, that's not going to get it done. We know we got problems. We don't need people throwing out problems in our way all the time. We want to find out what we can do. Because see, in order to find a solution, all our problems are not going to go away. We're going to always have some problems. But we're talking about a solution to our to things as a whole on how we're going to operate. We have no way of operation. We have no strategy of operation. Right now, we just sitting around looking, hoping things get better. None of our intellectuals are just looking to make money for themselves, which they should take care of their families. They don't get together and go, a bunch of them get together and make proposals. We can get some black millionaires, make some proposals. And they getting tired of hearing from the grassroots people. That's not who the powers that be respond to. Where's our lobbyists? Where's the black lobbyists? Who's lobbying for black people in Congress? Who's going to businesses lobbying for black people? We don't have any. No, we don't have any because we don't think like that. We waiting for just to tell the truth. Remember, they said black people have a messiah complex. We always looking for this one person to come along and take care of all our problems, like a Martin Luther King or somebody. We always look for one. Somebody's going to come along. No, we're already here, all of us. Who can do something are already here. It's like we're waiting on divine intervention. It could come, but that don't mean we don't supposed to do what we need to do right now. We need to do what we have to do right now because, you know, we can't sit around and wait hoping something happens. I'm not talking to Pookie and Ray Ray right now. I'm not talking to those who just like to run their mouth and don't make any sense. I'm talking to intellectual black people right now. See, get together, people with some sense. Because we don't need to get up in somewhere and everybody fussing. We don't want to listen to what anyone else has to say or don't want to go along with anybody else say because you want your opinion of what you want to be done. Because it's not going to be no one person's opinion. But we have to do something. We don't have nothing. We don't have any type of strategy. We have nothing planned. We're sitting around waiting for Trump to fail, waiting for this. We're always sitting around waiting. That's why we set up in slavery for so long, 250 years. What are people? You're going to allow yourself to be slaves for 250 years? I heard there was more rebellions than was talked about, but 250 years? Don't you think that was a long time? Even a dog that's kept pinned up, trying to find a way to get out. 250 years. Then after that, you was let go out of slavery. Well, if you can call it freedom. You start prospering. Just one generation, really less than a generation after slavery. Those slaves was let go who couldn't read. Most of them couldn't read or write. They just about ran the state of North Carolina. They was all up in the state house and everywhere. That's where the Department of Education came from. Black people started the Department of Education in North Carolina. The white people saw that black people was getting too powerful. They took black people farmland, most of everything black people had. So trying to put them back as domestics and started Jim Crow. Do you know black people having you haven't had what you would call freedom until 1964? Jim Crow was a semi-form of slavery. That's why a lot of black people were sharecroppers and all. Because of, you know why? We waiting on somebody to come along and help us. We're always waiting on a Messiah. Somebody mistreat me. I know when they mistreat me, and I'm going to do something about it. And try to get some people together with me to help me do something about it. But we take too much. That's why I say with this project 2025, they're gonna have a problem on their hands. White folks not going. It's gonna hurt white folks a lot. They're not gonna take what we take. They'll tear this country up. To my civil war, it will be, but it won't be no race war. It's gonna be different faction in this country, and then and a lot of the MAGA people. It may not come to that because all this stuff gonna affect MAGA people more than black people. Because most of them are in red states. And you black MAGAs, you think the stuff, all the racist stuff they talk about, they're not talking about you and your family? Like it's gonna skip you and your family? Don't make sense for a black person to be MAGA. It's not gonna skip you and your family. They don't see you as MAGA, they see you as black. Look at the MAGA Latinos singing all that I would vote for Donald Trump and thought they were invincible. Many of them are gone. Not a whole lot, because Trump really haven't deported that many people. They're just putting up a photo op, publicity op, making it seem like they do. Even most of the people, most of the people they detain, they end up letting go, but they got the photo op. And see, you remember a woman singing the song, I would vote for Donald Trump? They deported her husband right after that. And she was on the internet crying, like someone's supposed to feel sorry for her. Now I heard they deported her. See, the Cuban had protected status. Let me show you how dirty this nation is. They tell these people to get it. The United States try to make people have a democratic elected government. Okay, they do that. Then when they had people fighting wars against communism, trying to ram democracy down people's throat. So those people fought. That's why the Cubans, when Castro took over and they started dealing with the Soviet Union, they had a communist government. They let many of the Cubans come here under asylum. But it was mostly white Cubans. Most of Cuba is black. But you didn't see too many black Cubans here. That's why I don't feel sorry for them. See, these people of color, they mistreated black people, even in their nations. They're not our allies. But look, now they're deporting the Cubans back. Some of them have been here over 60 years. The people who you gave asylum to, you sending them back. See, what a lot of people, and I'm going to tell you something else what a lot of people don't realize about Abraham Lincoln. Did you know that before Abraham Lincoln was unalived, he was sending black people to Africa, mostly from Virginia. He started with Virginia. That's how he was sending them to Liberia. That's how the nation of Liberia was started, by freed American slaves. Because Lincoln, he didn't care about black people. He said he don't care about. He said it. He's trying to save the Union. If I could save the Union by freeing black people, I'd do that. If I could save the Union by not freeing one black person, I'd do that. Don't nobody care about us but us, and most of us don't care about us. So that's why I say, forget that unity talk. We just have to do what we got to do. Strategize and do what we got to do, because that unity talk is out of the question. Because see what has happened with Jimmy Lynch and all them. It has worked on us. It said teach the oppressed to hate themselves, and then no longer when you do that, the oppressor no longer has to be present. You will start oppressing. They will start oppressing themselves, and that's the state we're in. You see, black people have been made, to hate ourselves. And I tell you, I know you say, "Oh, I don't hate ourselves. I don't hate black people." There's a thing about ideology training. You don't know about what you're doing, what's in your mind. You don't know about it. See, like white people have been trained to think they're superior. Black people have been hearing that same ideology, that white people are superior. And many black people think like white supremacists and don't realize. Look and listen to the stuff black people say about black people. Same stuff the white supremacists say. We just get angry when they say it. But black people say the same stuff. When a black person does misbehave, oh, we just can't do it. You put just like the white person saying they're doing it because they're black. You're saying the same thing. They're doing it because they're human. White people, black people fight at a football game. We can't go nowhere. White people fight at football games all the time. But it's not put on them being white. You're thinking like a white supremacist and don't even realize. Go to a white baseball game. I've filmed before. The players fighting, the parents fighting. Soccer, hockey game. Parents fighting the referee. They have to call the police out to those kids soccer games, white kids and Latino soccer games all the time. But if that was us, you would hear about it all over the place. And we'll blame it on us being black ourselves. But they don't blame what they're doing on being white. So we have to stop back and get out of it, backing up white supremacy and get all that stuff out junk out of our mind. Sometimes I have to stop. Think about some stuff I'm thinking. Because I know it's part of that ideology that's been handed to me. It's been handed to you too. Because if you realize it or not, you can sit under that same stuff white folks set up under all their lives. And you've been hearing all your life also and think it don't affect you. White folks have been trained to see a lot of the stuff is unraveling for them. They've been trained to think that black people are where they're because they're lazy, then won't work hard. And they find out all the stuff that's been done against us to hold us back. And find out they didn't do any hard work. What hard work have they done? I'm gonna get back to my subject, but I talk about different things. I'm gonna show you the hard work they've done. Okay. When it came time to pick their agriculture, they had to go all the way to the other side of the world and get slaves to do it. Because they was too lazy to do it. When the black people stopped doing it, they had to go down to South America, started having uh, immigrants come up. No, well, Latinos come up and do the farm work. And you know what? The black slaves is the one who taught them agriculture. Did you know that? Taught them how to smelt certain urns to build houses. That's why the slaves was building all the houses, the plantations, the infrastructure. White people didn't know how the slaves taught them. They were living in log houses. Look it up about what the slaves brought, the African slaves brought from Africa with them. Google that. It'll tell you. And when it came time to do construction, don't tell the white man start doing construction and working and forming is mostly in a supervisory or administrative role, or he's on some piece of machinery. He didn't start doing construction till he started building machines to help out, and he mostly worked machines. When it came time to build a railroad, he got the Chinese to do that. So when did they ever do any hard work? Even now, black and brown people did all the hard work, and black and brown people doing all the technical work. White people not inventing these apps and technology and all. You know who's doing it? Immigrants who came over here to study from other countries and ended up staying. And Trump has sent a lot of them back. A lot of them was Nigerians, Chinese, Indians, from Ghana. They stayed over here and helped. Now he sent them back to their nations. They're going to take that back to their nations now. Well, I hope Ghana and Nigeria does help Africa out. So Trump don't know he's speeding up the decline of the United States. You're only going to, if you notice, great power is only managed maybe 120 years. And the time is up. Usually 100 years. Then the time is up. It goes in cycles. The white man's not going to always be the dominant race running things on the earth. There's been others before him, be more after him. You see, Africa's on the rise now, and the West is on the decline. That's why I say we need to plot some strategies. We got to make up our mind if we're going to plot strategy. We're going to stay here or leave or what. I'm not saying what you should do. I'm just saying we need some type of strategy. Now, we can't keep staying here and they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I know we found from the foundational people of this nation. But we can't keep taking the same thing over and over again. They've had 400 years to straighten it up. And if they don't do it after this, they're not going to. And I doubt if they will. See, any of you who think about leaving here, I can understand that. I've thought about it. Give me $1 million in reparations, I'll leave. Give us all $1 million reparations. Then, a lot of nations want to take us with $1 million in our pocket. I'm just saying that's just a thought. That's just a thought. Because, we can't just keep on going through the same thing over and over again, generation after generation. So we got to think of some type of strategy. If those who want to leave here, let's have those who think of a strategy for that. Get them some reparation money. Why leave here broke? Tell them, when people tell you go back to Africa, say, you go back to Europe. But if you want me to go to Africa, how much you willing to pay for me to go? I mean, MAGA, they talking about if you love it or leave it. MAGA the ones saying the United States is not great. So evidently they don't like it. So they're the ones who need to leave here. MAGA people, they need to leave here. They're the ones who don't like it. Saying make it great again. They're the ones who think it's not great. Well, I'm not going to hold you long tonight. I had to cut my beard off. I had a shaving accident. Rather than it look crazy, I would just cut it off. One person take me and say, I can see the bones in your neck. You know why? I'm not fat. When you have decent weight, you have a collarbone and all of that. You can see all of that. But most people have gotten large and you can't see all that. You used to see it on everybody. That's why people used to have an Adam's apple. You don't see that no more because people have gotten big. So then you tell them, quit worrying about how I look. and listen to what I say. That's your problem. I always worry about superficial stuff. But look, um, yeah, we have to come up with a strategy on what we're gonna do and quit trying to just go to meetings, say what we ought to do, and everybody go home. Nothing solved. We need unity. How long have we been hearing that? All of no people is unified. If you're waiting on that, you'll be right here around here another 100 years from now, saying we need unity. We don't have to unify. We need enough people in place to strategize for our people. We need strategy. We need some rules of operation because we don't have that. We are people out of control. We don't have no rules of operation. So how can you unify with people who has no structure? We have no structure. They come around, you just want to do things any kind of way. How can you unify with people like that? First, let's get some rules of operation, some structure to ourselves on how we're going to conduct. Those who don't want to, let them go about their business. That's how ethnic groups are formed. People set up codes of ethics for those who are of like-mindedness, and they go on off to themselves. See, we're the only people with this many people in one place who are not divided into ethnic groups. Do you know that? Anywhere on earth where you have millions of people, they're divided into different groups, except us. We never did it. You had people like call themselves the Hebrew Israelites, but they were mostly doing a religious thing, and that's how people used to do. Just section themselves, they have different ethnic groups. All one people, but it's like in Iraq, different places how they talk about the different ethnic groups in Nigeria, in Africa. That's why when they said they sold their people into slavery, no, they didn't. They sold people of different nationalities and ethnic groups into slavery. Those weren't their people. When Hitler attacked Europe, they didn't say he was attacking his people because they were white. They knew that his people was German. But see, by black people, all we know is race, because we don't know the nationality we came from, and we didn't start one of our own. But where our nationality is American, is a citizen of the United States. Now, I hate saying American because from the tip of the North Pole from the top of the North Pole to the tip of Argentina is all America. Mexicans are American. Everyone in the Americas continents are Americans. But this is our land more than anyone else. You want to know why? I know it started with the Indians, and I don't know when they thought Columbus and them was the British that was so dumb. They thought they was going to India to get some spices. And when they saw the people, they called them Indians. But what happened is we're not talking about them. We're talking about the United States being formed. We're more citizens than anyone else. Because you know what? Do you hear the white people? I'm Irish American. I'm British American. I'm French American. I'm Italian American. All we can say is we black Americans. We don't have no nationality or culture that we came from. So we're more American than, when I say American, I'm talking about U.S. citizen, than anyone else. And see, we never get off into going that deep. But we need to because, we've been letting ourselves get shortchanged. We've been shortchanged. And we've been putting up with it. And we need to stop just taking everything that people dish out to us. They made us so docile. Right now, you know what black people are looking at? They're looking for the government to straighten itself out and do right by us, no matter how bad it's going, or divine intervention. We're not even thinking of how we're going to respond or what we're going to do, even if they came after us. We never have no standard motive of operation. It's always that wait and see. When it comes to our conduct, we have no policies. Everyone just do as they please. What is our engagement for even marriage? Many other people have it. We don't. That's why you don't see too many black folks getting married. I just go out and have some babies. Have a few babies by different people. And I'm not talking about women, I'm talking about men and women. Then we say he walked off from his family and most of you never was together in the first place. Just having babies with you. You wouldn't know family. Because we don't have no standards. We gotta strategize and set some standards. Those who don't want to go by it, you and your people go out by yourself and then you're a different ethnic group. That's one thing we never did. We never did set no standards for ourselves on how we operate or move. And you know what most black people try to do it by the Bible. And you know the way you act in church, you don't act that way when you get out. Just tell the truth. You can use the Bible to set your morals and standards. But it's up to then you give it like-minded people. Do you know that the early churches, church at Corinth, at Rome, at Ephesus, they were communes. The early church is when the first signs of really was the start of communism. Everybody worked and was paid according to their labor and their need. Communism. But we don't operate like that in the church now. Because one of the problems is usually when a church does that and sort of the members go out like that, it usually turns into end up being a cult. Or at least that's what people call it. But the problem is communism is not bad ran by. It depends on who's running it because most of those are like that branch Davidican. The leader tries to make themselves into God. I see nothing wrong with people going out starting their own commune. But it's just the people, most of the leaders get big headed, like Jim Jones, and try to make themselves like their God. There was some black people who bought 90 acres of land and was starting their own community. There was so much arguing and division, they had to let it go. But that don't mean we got to stop at that. We don't have to stop at that. Because because it failed with them, that means it's gonna fail with everyone. See, we see trial, and failure. That happens. But you don't stop trying because this group failed. I think it's a good concept. They wasn't talking about no black only town. They were just setting up a town because, see, like those white only towns, they think we actually care. Most people already live in all white towns. It just haven't been said officially. Like I said, black people don't live all over this nation. Don't live all over most states. So, they already have their whites only town. But if people want to do that, try cities like East St. Louis, Brooklyn, Venice, or any of these black towns in the United States. Buy land there. You don't have to go buy land in these white areas. Come to East St. Louis, buy you a lot of land you could buy. Washington Park, a lot of land you could buy. Madison, Madison, not all black town. Venice, Brooklyn, buy land there and build up your community there. You'll be part of the city, but you'll be almost like your own little commune, though. White folks used to do it. Remember how you used to have the gated communities? We may have to practice that on some in some areas. Let's buy it in these black communities that got all this vacant land. In East St. Louis, look at all this vacant land. They'll help fill our schools back up. Our school enrollment is dropping too low. Yeah, but yeah, come to East St. Louis and buy you some land. Y'all can set you up buy acres and acres and set up your little commune here. But you'll be citizens of the city. But you'll still have your commune and you can set up your ethnic group in there. I wish we would start setting up ethnic groups. They was talking today about buying up land in Washington Park. A lot of land out there. You start your little commune up in there. People who have set up certain values for themselves. Now, I'm not talking about getting up in there. The one thing, the problem with most of those things, they get up in there, sexually abusing people SAing people, and can't say those words. SAing people, messing with little kids, and mistreating people. I'm not talking about that type. You still part of the larger community. But people want to come in your area, they have to know how to behave themselves. I'm not saying withdraw yourself from the larger community because I just found that in a lot of those communal settings, a lot of those horrible things took place. And we don't want all that happening. But it has to be some very, you can't have, I tell you what caused problems in those type of settings. They had one person, almost like a king, just running everything. You got to have a council. Get your council on how to run things in your commune. But you're still beholden to the greater, to the city though. But I'm talking about your way of behavior. But you also have your citizen council on your ethnic behavior, an ethnic council. Because I can't see all of us coming together ethnically. You're not going to get 63, but we got 43 million people coming together ethnically. That's not going to happen. We were up to almost 60 million back in the 60s, but there's about 28 million babies aborted. And the majority of black women having babies by the same few men. A lot of other men not having babies. So, that cuts down your birth rate. Now, we probably up to close to 70 million people by now. But that's just the way it is. See, we have to. I'm for that. Since we need to get some people that need to start buying blocks of land in these black areas. You don't have to run out to these old areas, buy from white folks. You got black cities, got all this land. You can set up your own stores, but they got to be open to everybody, though. To set up businesses, but you can still have your commune. The commune is for those who want to follow your ethnic teaching, your cultural and ethnic teaching. But you still be holding to the greater city. You got to follow city ordinance. You part of the city, but you just have your commune within it. And you can't go against city, ordinance and laws. But I see nothing wrong with that. That's a strategy I'm thinking of. Someone else may have something else. This is why we got to get together and talk about it. You got a bunch of people who want to buy some land, build some houses. Those houses they built over there over by JJK. Same like-minded people want to get together and all of them buy those houses up and still have their ethnic group living up in there. I see nothing wrong with that. Only they need to be in a better area. We need some shops and stores around these homes. You don't want to have to. You don't always feel like fixing coffee at home. Maybe you want to go buy some. You don't want to go to Fairview Heights to buy some coffee. Because everyone don't want gas station and McDonald's coffee. So, those are just thoughts. We need to. My strategy is that I think we need to send some ethnic people of the same like mind form their ethnic group and have their own commune. I'm talking about even people, not just people who live in this area. Some of you people may live out down south or out west or in the east who have your own ethnic teachings, own culture, and need land. Come to some of these black towns here and buy up some land. It was brought up in the meeting I was in today. The commemoration of the 30th commemoration of the Million Man March. The mayor of Washington Park was there. And they said one man mentioned about land that could be bought in Washington Park. Now I think that could be done in all these black cities. You black people all over the nation. I know these podcasts go all around the world. Come to the Metro East, to these black cities. East St. Louis, Washington Park. But Cahokia don't have a whole lot of vacant land. They haven't been torn up yet. Black folks just took that over. East St. Louis, Washington Park, Brooklyn, Venice. Come to these areas, buy land, build you some homes. 'Cause like those people bought that 90 acres and built homes. Come here and build homes. Talk to the city leaders, see if you can get some tax breaks. That we have to start doing, giving incentives for people to come here. And some of you may have the cash, or the credit power where you could build a business in that area because you have to have some businesses around these areas. You just can't build homes and nothing but homes and no businesses because people are going to want goods and services. But you set your compound, you set your own business with goods and services. I wouldn't see nothing wrong with East St. Louis and these black towns becoming a communities. You want community, but black people, we got to sit and get in different groups. Because we're not going to all unify as one. We got to unify with people of like-mindedness and start your own ethnic group. The Hebrew Israelites want to come here in this area, buy some land, build some houses, and set up here. I see nothing wrong with that. We have to do something because our cities are going to waste. We got all this spare land. And I think I'm gonna make that proposal. Might appealing to some of these groups. Let them come here and buy land, build houses. Maybe offer them some tax breaks and some of that land you sell it to them real cheap or give it to them. Most of you not doing nothing with it and just going to waste. Some of the city owned. Lot, you see, it's not all of some people tore up stuff. It's a lot of people, the older people passed on, and their children didn't want to stay here. And they just let the house go to waste. No. But what we'll do is, yeah, I think I'm gonna make that proposal. I'm gonna see if some of these groups from around the nation want to come here and buy this land and build up here. I'm gonna mention it to the city manager also. Now that's one strategy I'm thinking of. Some of you all may have others.